In this episode of the podcast, Coach G, am going to lay out exactly what my workout plan is every single week, my workout split. People often ask me, hey, Coach G, what do you do for fitness? The short answer is CrossFit, but the long answer, you're going to have to stick around to hear about it on this episode of the podcast. So tune in, listen up, take notes. It's going to be a fun ride today.
Welcome to the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast, where we hear and learn from our coaches, CrossFitters, and Glen Ed community leaders. Now, here are your hosts, Dallas and Greg.
What is up, guys? I am Coach G at CrossFit Edwardsville. I'm one of the coaching team here. And on this episode of the podcast, I'm going to lay out exactly what I do from week to week in terms of my fitness. What does my workout plan, my workout split look like? And I bring this up because people often ask me about it, because they figure that there's probably some secret sauce, some magic to what I do. And it's because I've had fantastic results. Consistently year-round, I maintain sub 10% body fat. I feel great. I have amazing energy to go out and do a lot of cool stuff. And I've consistently, year after year after year, been in the top 10% of the world in the CrossFit Open in whatever age bracket I was in. Started before I was in the Masters division, now continuing into the Masters division. I don't say that stuff to brag, because I'm really not some born athlete, really nothing special. I'm just a guy. In fact, I was raised to kind of be a bookworm. I was good at school, and athletics, physical performance, sports were absolutely not a part of who I was. It was much later in life. I started when I was 19 years old. I started on my fitness journey then for reasons I've discussed on this podcast before. And so I'm just a guy. I did not spring out of the womb with some sort of amazing athletic gifts. I was never a star athlete when I was coming up, but I was able to achieve some really cool stuff by intellectually looking at, okay, what is the best of all fitness worlds, and how can I get the most out of it while still being a whole person? I don't have to live in the gym. There's more to life that I want. I want to have amazing relationships with now my wife, my son, my friends, my colleagues. I want to have amazing health and vibrancy so I can go out and live my life with no limitation and do all kinds of cool stuff and experience all the coolness and all the excitement that life has to offer, maximize everything, take advantage of every opportunity, take no gifts for granted. That all drives me. And then having the kind of physical energy, mental clarity, mental focus, drive, energy that allows me to be at my absolute best in terms of my work, so I can be my best in every area of life, whether it's health, wealth, relationships. And started this journey at age 19, made a ton of mistakes, did a bunch of stuff wrong, but I'm really proud that as of today, even though I'm 40 years old now, which is not old, to be clear, not old, but I'm able to achieve an incredible amount of fitness, and I'm very proud of what I've done. And just to be clear, it's not because I had, I was born with it. It's because I found my way into the right things. And that's what I want to share with you guys in this podcast, because I'm hoping that I can kind of demystify what it is that I do in terms of fitness, and hopefully give you guys some clarity about the ways that you can make the absolute most out of it also, because maybe you're not a star athlete. Maybe it's kind of hard for you when it comes to cutting body fat, looking good, feeling your best. You're like, I want that too. And I just like to have somebody kind of spell out for me, what is the roadmap? How do you actually achieve these things? So that's what I'm going to lay out on this episode of the podcast. So when you ask me, what do I do for fitness? If I could only say one word, it would be CrossFit. But that word encompasses quite a bit, because in CrossFit world, CrossFit is actually corporately defined as constantly varied functional movement done at high intensity. Constantly varied functional movement done at high intensity. And each of those elements has a specific meaning, but to make it as clear and crisp and clean as possible, we're taking the best of all fitness worlds, and we're developing a general capacity on all of those things. And so you could basically say that my entire workout plan, my entire workout split is CrossFit, because CrossFit encompasses all things that are constantly varied functional movement at high intensity, including things like combat sport, like snowboarding, like running. Like, all of these things are encompassed. But let's now get into some of the nitty gritty, the specifics of this, because hopefully this can be helpful to somebody out there who's looking for a little bit of clarity about how to achieve a very high level of fitness in a relative economy of time. If you're listening to this, chances are pretty good you're a busy working professional. You've got a lot going on. You got a family, probably have a spouse, kids, you got a professional job, you have hobbies. You're trying to fit this fitness thing into your life. And again, like, the shortest answer I could possibly give you is just show up to the gym, do CrossFit, do exactly what your coach tells you to do. But it is true that I do stuff above and beyond what just the coach is telling me to do when I go to CrossFit. And to be clear, in case if anybody's wondering, I'm not talking about performance enhancing drugs, because I do none of those things. Absolutely none. But here's what I actually do. I come into the gym early before CrossFit class is set to start on Monday. I do a brief warm up. I stretch, lower body bias stretches, but whole body entirely, although it's more of a bias to lower body stretches. And then on Mondays, I do some sort of back squat program, some sort of back squat protocol, right? And it might be sets of 10, might be sets of 8, 6, 4, 2. I often throughout the year follow a, what's the word I'm looking for? A Wendler protocol, a Wendler 5-3-1 protocol. But in order to keep things as simple as possible for this podcast, I come in early on Monday, I warm up, I stretch, and I back squat heavy things. That's what I start with. Then I stick around and I do the CrossFit class. Most days, the 9:30 a.m. class, although my times can vary depending on my work schedule. That's Monday. All in all, looking about like roughly 90 minutes, sometimes more in the gym, but 90 to 120 minutes is very, very typical. Tuesday, I come in early before the class, the CrossFit class. I warm up, I stretch, and I do some sort of pressing for strength work. Like with the back squats, might do sets of 10, sets of 8, sets of 6, 4, 2. Might follow a Wendler protocol. And a lot of these days, by the way, when it comes to the lifting, I come in and I work up to a certain weight, and I'll do as many reps as I can do at that weight in one shot. Go until gravity wins. Sometimes that's 14 reps, sometimes it's 20 reps. I'm doing some sort of pressing, lifting challenge on Tuesdays. Then I do the CrossFit class, most typically at 9:30. That's my Tuesday. Wednesday, I come in early, warm up, stretch, and I front squat. Then do the 9:30 CrossFit class. On Thursdays, most typically, I go to a noon Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu no-gi class, aka wrestling or grappling or submission fighting. And I'll hit it hard from like roughly noon to 1 on Thursdays. That's my Thursday activity. My Friday activity, come in to the gym early, I warm up, I stretch, and I deadlift heavy, typically conventional deadlift, although I also sumo deadlift. Same pattern. If I had a pattern, by the way, of working up to 75% of max on Monday with my back squat and doing as many reps as possible at that weight, I'll follow that same program Tuesday with my presses, Wednesday with my front squats, and then Friday with my deadlifts. Then I'll do the group CrossFit class after that. If time, work schedule permits, then also on Friday, I'll go and I'll do an 11:30 a.m. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class where we practice moves and then spar or grapple at the end of it. Friday is a high activity day for me when my schedule permits. I want to be fully forthright, though, that oftentimes my work schedule interferes, so I can't do both the Metcon and the grappling on every Friday. I'm pretty darn consistent, though, with doing both. So that's my most typical Friday. On Saturday, I go in 11 a.m. and do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Sometimes it's gi, sometimes it's no gi. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on Saturday mornings. And then when that's done, I'll typically stick around and practice some kickboxing. Shout out to Bob Thompson, who has taught me so much about kickboxing. Bob, thank you for all of your lessons and your guidance. And so I'll stick around and do some extra striking with hands, elbows, knees after that. So if we now rewind and look at the overview of my typical fitness week, the foundation is essentially warm up, stretch, and do weightlifting for strength and stamina, followed by a CrossFit class where we also work on strength and stamina with potentially a bias to stamina, endurance, conditioning. But as you know, in CrossFit, we work on 10 domains of fitness. We work on strength, flexibility, cardiorespiratory endurance, muscular stamina, speed and power, agility, coordination, balance, and accuracy. Those are our 10 things. We work on all of those things. And I'm just doing whatever the coach tells me to do when I go into those classes. So you got this basis. The foundation of my fitness pyramid is strength, conditioning, metabolic conditioning, having a really solid basis of strength and stamina and all these other qualities I just described. That's the foundation. Upon that, I build in combat sport to my activity so that I'm doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, striking practice, kickboxing. That's the sport stuff that I stack on top of my usual strength and conditioning program. And then in very specific times of the year, I might trade out some of these elements in favor of more running when I'm, say, preparing for the Go St. Louis Halloween Half Marathon. Or in the wintertime, I might add in some snowboarding because I love it. But this is the overview of the stuff that I do, the fitness activities that I do every single week, and I am religiously consistent with these things. And that's the real magic of any fitness program, is if you are doing it consistently, you get better at it, and the benefits that you get compound over time. So I'm back squatting every single week. I'm front squatting every single week. I'm pressing every single week. I'm doing CrossFit Metcons multiple times a week, every single week. I'm getting in lots of mat time at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or wrestling. I'm getting in lots of kickboxing practice on the weekends as well. And this for me has allowed me to achieve everything that I want out of my fitness journey. It's very cool, and it's opened a lot of doors for me. And I find it very rewarding. And hopefully this has been inspiring or helpful to you in some way, because part of my mission in life is to help to authorize and empower and inspire you to go out and do the things it takes for you to live your best life and to be your best self, to look amazing, feel amazing, perform at your best. As a coach and a coach of coaches, this is a huge part of my mission in life. And so I'm hoping that some part of this recording has been helpful for you to get the most out of yourself and the most out of your life. Now, that said, you probably still have questions. And if you do, awesome. Me and the other coaches here will be happy to be of service to you. Google CrossFit Edwardsville. We are at Google Reviews. When you're ready, go to CrossFitEdwardsville.com. You can book a no sweat conversation to talk to one of the coaches here. There's no sales pitch. There's nothing for you to buy on this call. It's just us talking to you about what you want to get out of your fitness journey and us giving you guidance. What does this look like for you? It's free. It's super easy. You can book a no sweat conversation at CrossFitEdwardsville.com, and we hope that you do. But for now, thank you for listening to this podcast. Thank you for the gift of your time and your attention. I hope you have an amazing, beautiful, and blessed rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.